Welcome to the Don Podcast, a Minnesota music conversation, recorded at CCX Studio, produced by Javi, engineered by Jimmy Morris. And now, here's your host.
We're joined on this episode by Robert Wilkinson of the band Flamin Oh's. I first heard of Robert's music after a good friend of mine from high school, John Walzak, saw a show of Flamin Oh's playing in the tennis courts at Whiz Bang days in Robbinsdale in the late 70s. He found out where they were playing next, and we went and saw him, and I've been enjoying Robert's music ever since. Robert, you have a lot of longtime fans that follow you and have followed you throughout your career. That's got to be really rewarding to you.
It's I feel very blessed that I feel very grateful. I feel blessed. I feel lucky that we've been able to as we came out with the band and the music, that we were able to that people liked it, and started coming out to shows and things like that. You never know, we were kids and everything like that. And, I feel more connected to them because of social media these days.
Uh-huh.
And I've been able to meet some of the fans, supporters of the band. And as we have met, we've become good friends. But I'm blown away by the love. Everybody is so sweet, and they're so loving. And people, I call them friends, probably, I guess, rather than fans.
Yeah.
The ones who were back there, even as far back as when I first started, Flamingo and Flamin Oh's, they're still coming out to the shows. And it's truly heartwarming, and it's truly gratifying. And I'm humbled and honored.
When I used to go see it, of course, see you guys, you were Flamingo. Before that was Prodigy.
Right.
Was there anything before Prodigy of any real note, or was Prodigy kind of the first big band for you?
Well, my history starts back in around, I graduated high school in '69, and at that point in time, I had already met and have been jamming with a drummer, Bob Mead, we would play together for the next 40-some years.
Mm-hmm.
Our bond, our friendship, our brotherhood was like powerful and strong. We were connected, musically, just spiritually, everything. So me and Bobby, we started out as a three-piece. We had a bass player. I remember his name, Cliff Holm, and we were jamming, and we had worked up some songs, and I was even writing songs back then. Okay. But as it turned out, we started out. We were working with a booking agent, David Anthony. And David Anthony was a name known back then. He had his own booking agency and production and stuff like that. And I was friends. We got to know Lonnie Knight, who had a band, Jokers Wild, and then later formed a three-piece band called Flash Tuesday. And they were kind of like Lonnie and those guys were kind of like a power trio, like Cream,
okay,
or somebody along that line.
Mm-hmm.
Well, me and Bobby's first professional gigs, we were approached by David and Lonnie. Flash Tuesday, they wanted to break up, but they still had some gigs to fulfill.
Okay.
So David and Lonnie, they asked us, me and Bob Mead and Cliff, if we wanted to fulfill the rest of the gigs under the name Flash Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Flash Tuesday was your first.
So Flash Tuesday, it wasn't my band. It was actually Lonnie Knight's
Right.
band,
Uh-huh.
and they had the history and stuff. But once again, they needed somebody to fulfill these gigs, so they asked us, and we jumped at the chance, of course, because this is where this is where we started playing, and it was our first professional gigs. Now, interestingly enough, Flash Tuesday had kind of built up a fan base and fan following.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it must have been something when you showed up.
So we would go out, and a lot of it, the gigs at that time, this is early 70s, 69, 70, 71 maybe, were rural ballrooms, Glencoe, just a million, So you're going out and doing these one-nighters in these ballrooms. Well, there were, we'd go out and play, and of course we weren't the real Flash Tuesday. And then we were doing our own originals, but we were also doing stuff like MC5 and a lot of stuff. We were doing Stone stuff too, people. So there was some kind of, who are these guys? This isn't Flash Tuesday. But for the most part, it went well. I mean, we were happy to be out playing. And, we had some attitude and swagger. We wasn't too swayed by, too put off by,
Getting heckled a little bit.
Yeah. So, and there wasn't like really any of that and stuff. But we won over some people, so that was cool. And it didn't last long. It was very brief. And then, so I don't have a timeline on that. I'm guessing like months, maybe not even a year of doing that stuff. But it was a great opportunity for us. Right. I at that time met Lonnie Knight, and we had become friends. And although we didn't hang out together much over the years, it was still really cool to meet him. And so, we made some connections, got our first pro gigs, and that's kind of where we started. Okay. Prodigy came along after I met a guy. I met a couple guys. Me and Bobby Mead met a guy named Mickey Coet, who's a bass player, and a piano player named Tom Bresney. And Tom later went on to form the Pistons with Frank Berry. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and great guys. So I don't remember the specific circumstances, but the four of us, we took on the name Prodigy, and we started playing gigs. I think we were booking gigs through Marsh Productions, Marsh Edelstein.
So you've always had some backing with you through all your bands. I mean, really some industry backing.
Well, we were able to lock in with booking agencies early on to get us professional gigs and stuff. And these were people well known around town and stuff. So it was, we were very fortunate and lucky. Apparently they liked something about us and were willing to book us. And as, things developed and things kind of, slowly but surely took off, we'd play, get more gigs, and things were good. It was the start of our professional career.
Yeah. Prodigy put out a 45. One side was Chocolate. One side was
Wheel of Fortune.
Wheel of Fortune. And you wrote one of the songs?
I wrote Chocolate, and it was a real kitschy pop song. When I listen to it now, it's pretty funny. But I love kitschy pop. Mm-hmm. And the other side of it was Wheel of Fortune, Mickey Coet wrote. And and he wrote and sang it and stuff like that. And it was our first single. It was a big deal. Our manager at the time, Mark Hughes, he was managing us, and put it all together. And
that was back in '75. So that's a real huge for releases. I mean, people just were releasing and playing music and going into. Was that done in a studio here in town?
Yeah, and unfortunately, I can't remember what studio. Yeah. My timeline in history is a little fuzzy in places.
But to go into a studio back then, I mean, it's not like nowadays. There's only a couple of studios available. So I mean, it was a big deal to get into a studio.
Yeah, I wish I could remember. Yeah, it might have been a smaller independent studio. I don't really remember. It probably says actually on the label of the 45. Mm-hmm. But of course, we were kids. It was totally a big deal. Yeah. It was very exciting, and it was my first official single with the band Prodigy. So the first single in my career and my bandmate's career. So very exciting at the time. Yeah.
So then Johnny Ray actually ended up joining Prodigy at the end of Prodigy?
He was... Prodigy went through some various lineups. Okay. We started out as a 4-piece, like I say, with Tom Bresney, Mickey Coet, me, and Bobby Mead. Tom left. We had another guy come in. Tim Peterson, I think, was playing some keyboards. Let me see if I can remember. The next major, there was a guy named Randy Anderson who joined the band, and I think is on the single. He was in the band by the time the single came out. Well, he is on the single, Chocolate. You can hear his guitar riffage in the background. Really great guitar player. Randy joined Prodigy when he was 15 years old. And me and Randy, I mean, we're still close. Of course, we don't see each other as much as I'd like to, but that's okay, but we're still close, and I love Randy a lot. And he's an amazingly talented guitar player and just an all-around great guy. But he, as all my bandmates were, Mickey Coet, Tom Bresney stuff. But we had to go to Randy's parents and ask if he could play with us because he was 15 at the time. So I think his dad said something along the lines, well, he can go out and play. He can go out and play with you guys. Randy's dad was a musician too, an awesome dude, just a great guy. But he still got to go to school the next day. But that's when he joined. And yeah, he is on Chocolate.
Okay.
And great guitar player, great singer. So it was me, Bobby Mead, Randy Anderson, Mickey Coet, and I think Tim Peterson. Mickey Coet left. Tim Peterson, I think, played bass. And who was playing keyboards at that time? I'm kind of mixed up a little bit here. But Prodigy evolved. The final lineup of Prodigy was me, Bob Mead, a guy named Scott Mansky on bass, and Johnny Ray on guitar.
Okay, so Jody Ray was never in Prodigy then?
No.
He came in at the Flamingo time?
Yes.
Okay.
So that 4-piece lineup with Johnny Ray, Prodigy, and Scott, that was at the end of Prodigy's run. And I can't remember specifically. I think Scott, the bass player, left. So me, Bob, and Johnny, in one way or another, we met Jody Ray. We met Joseph Barron, through friends, whatever, however that stuff happens. Got together, the 5 of us. It clicked. It felt really good. There was a bond. There was there was just an immediate sense of this is working, this is clicking, that instantaneous kind of, when you feel that instinctive intuitiveness that this is something good is happening.
And that must have really come across on stage because, like I said, when my friend John went and saw you, I mean, he was just blown away by how tight you were, the songs, how much he connected with you. He couldn't quit talking about you.
That's
and said,
awesome.
we have to go out and see these. You have to go and see these guys with me. They're really, really good. And that's one thing you really do is all the way along your career, you've really connected with your fans on your songs and stuff. And it seems like you write songs that are not so much personal to you, but personal to everybody. I don't know if they are personal to you, but it seems like you just really have a real connection when everybody, I mean, you can look around the room when people are dancing and singing along and stuff, and they're feeling those songs.
That's a huge compliment, and I really appreciate that. So thank you very much for that. It's all about connection, and that's what the thing is. Music to all of us, to any of us, it's always moved us in some way, shape, or form. It's helped us heal, helped us, get through tough times. It's helped us. It brings us joy. It transcends language, cultures, barriers. You just gave me one of the greatest compliments. That connection is really important, and I got lucky because whatever I was writing or something, whatever I was doing musically or in my lyrics or songs, connected with people.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point, But, basically it's all about, we started, when you're younger, you want to be in a band. we're going, I want to be in a band. I want to be like the Stones. I want to be like the Beatles. Those are the things that influence you.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get rich. I want to party, and I want to get a lot of girls. Two of those happened. I'm still trying to get rich. I'm not rich monetarily, but I'm rich in so many other ways that are, in some ways, are much more fulfilling than monetarily. But, that was our basic, but that connection thing, it's that combination, that chemistry. Sometimes you get lucky and you hook up with the right people, and the universe puts you together with these people, and there's this spark and this chemistry, whether it's music, friends, poetry, art, writing, whatever, and something happens, and it turns into something bigger than yourself, more powerful. And once again, I was blessed enough to hook up with these guys, and it was awesome, and it was exciting, and we could feel it. But the thing is, when we went out to play, it was really important for us. We were very passionate, as a lot of people are when they're young and start out. But I'm still passionate. I mean, I'm still, I go out there, and I'm in the zone. You're totally in the zone. And there's no feeling I can compare it to. I mean, we come out there and you start that stuff, you kick it off.
Yeah.
And it seemed that we were blessed in the fact that we connected.
Right.
But we were having fun.
Right.
And what we wanted to do, we wanted everyone to escape for a few hours. Let's have some fun. Let's kick it up. Let's get going here. Let's, so.
Yeah. And I was going to say, it's just for you to connect with the audience like that, you've got to be connecting with the people that are on stage. I mean, it's got to start with the band itself really being, like you say, a chemistry and together to get the audience to buy into what you're playing and stuff. And so when you got that lineup together, that must have been really something to have those guys and to feel it, like you said, you felt it yourself that something was happening here.
Yeah, it is exciting, and once again, it's that chemistry, it's that link, and it was very exciting. And we thought we had something really good going on, but I try to stay humble about it and stuff. I don't, we had a little bit of swagger.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Probably still have a little bit of swagger, but we had something we felt really joyful about, and we thought we had a really cool rock and roll band, and I think we did, and we had a lot of fun. But it was truly exciting to play with these guys, and to still play with the current lineup I'm playing with now. And it's just blows my mind.
It was an exciting time for music everywhere too, with everything that was going on and all the new music and stuff. And of course, Jay's Longhorn opened up, and then you guys were the first ones to play there and open it up. And I don't, everyone always talks about Jay's Longhorn and stuff, and so I don't want to spend a whole lot of time. I think Mark did a great job on his on the video that he did for Jay's Longhorn with talking about all the bands and even some of the people that went there and stuff. Were you pretty happy with that, with what he did?
I was really happy with it, and it was such a labor of love for him. And I could get emotional talking about it, and that's cool. But let me catch myself here. Such a labor of love for him to do that, but also he captured that really well. The unfortunate thing, there wasn't a lot of live footage on, of bands playing from that time, which is kind of surprising and interesting. But I loved the documentary, and it was just sweet as hell. And it was sweet as hell. I wanted to say something too, because I was talking about chemistry in bands and how when a band has that certain something special, it clicks and it sparks and there's you could see other bands that was happening with too at that time.
Okay.
The Suburbs, the Pistons. A story about that too. The Commandos, who we became friends with early on and stuff like that. They all had this, this camaraderie. Everybody seemed like they were with the right people to make the right noise. You know what I mean? And so that was real evident too. And Fingerprints and just all the bands that were coming out of that era. Not to discount or diminish or negate any other bands around town, but their own, but this was our scene. This was our power. This is who we were hanging with and everything that was going on. So I just wanted to say that was pretty obvious, that was pretty apparent in other bands too. That was making a beautiful noise at that time too. So, but yeah. So the Longhorn documentary was awesome. And, Mark asked me, I was kind of wondering if I should leave that scene with you at the end where you're kind of tearing up and choking up. I said, fuck yeah, because that's real. That's real. That's how I feel. And I still am prone to get that way sometimes because I'm an empath and I feel strongly and deeply and, I have emotions still. That will well up, and that's totally cool. I don't have a problem. I'm not embarrassed by it at all. But as it turns out, I had a lot of people compliment me on that, and I'm glad he left it in. And I thought, as a whole, the documentary was just beautiful. And Mark is a beautiful person, and he just did such a great job on that and stuff like that. At the performances at the Parkway, reuniting with everybody and seeing everybody and the other bands and stuff, people flying into town. Oh my God, my heart was going to burst with joy. So it was fucking awesome. So Mark is an awesome guy. He did a great job. So, and that was so important to document that.
Right.
And he did it in such a great way and stuff like that. So that was huge. That was huge and important and powerful. And I hope people dig it because I really love the fact that he did that.
And then that was and then back. Do you want to do your Pistons story before?
What I was going to just say, touch upon, we were talking about the lineup of the band early on in Prodigy. Tom Bresney was a keyboard player in the first lineup of Prodigy. Tom went on to, at some point, form the Pistons with Frank Berry, and they signed with Twin Tone. They put out an album with Chocolate on it, with a different version, which is, I think, personally, much cooler than my original version. They did such an awesome song. They turned a kitschy pop song into kind of a sexy, stonesy, great song. And I had no idea that was coming. And it was great. I was totally, and still am, flattered and honored that they would do that. And I had a chance recently to reconnect with Frank and see him, and we gave each other the longest hugs, But Tom Bresney, I was going to say, so he went on, as they formed the Pistons, they did Chocolate, they put it on the album and stuff, and did an awesome version. And so I thought that was kind of an interesting, thing to happen.
Tie-in,
Now,
Flamingo put out a EP, 45 EP with, I think, 3 or 4 or 5 songs on it or something. And your iconic logo came out of that. It's with the flamingo written out with lipstick just kind of like the New York Dolls. Now, I never hardly much associated you with the New York Dolls, but at that time, did you feel you were kind of in that realm? Or
we were around before the Dolls were, I think, because they didn't come along till later, and that I think the logo was way before them.
So they took that kind of.
They didn't intentionally take it. I mean, it was just as it turned out. It was a similar,
Right.
We worked with some great graphic people, and of course, I'm not going to remember anybody's name or the name of the graphic company, but they did that. The graphics for that EP that we did at Tracks on Fifth, and they were awesome. The New York Dolls came later. It's interesting. I believe. Here's where my timeline gets fuzzy. I think Flamingo was around before the Dolls.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's pretty close there.
Yeah.
It's just interesting that that always associated you, and people even today coming to your shows want that shirt with that logo on
Yeah.
it, with the lipstick. It's just iconic. It was iconic for the Dolls.
Yeah.
It's iconic for you and Flamin' O's.
Yeah.
But I've never really associated the two as far as music-wise
No,
together.
no.
And I was just wondering if there was a connection.
No,
if
there
you
was no
guys-
connection musically between us and the New York Dolls. I liked them okay. I liked their kind of their aesthetic. You know, I like androgynous. I like I love David. I like, you know, they came out kind of as an androgynous kind of looking, you know, building up on that. I love that kind of stuff. I used to do the nails and makeup. I still do makeup and stuff like that. Been thinking of doing my nails for shows, but musically they were rough and raw, and I like that. And they really came across as a nice raw rock and roll band out of New York, and that's always a great thing. But our influences were more. Me and Bobby Mead, you know, a lot of our influences were, of course, the Stones, and we loved the Faces. We loved the
Okay, I was a
Faces
big
so
Faces
much, right?
fan, yeah.
Those guys, and we loved that rock and roll, that raggedy, kind of loose. Although, you know, they were great musicians. They weren't. It was just a comfortable kind of looseness and rawness, soulfulness. You know, Rod Stewart. You know, just real soulful rock and roll and songs and music. The Stones, the Faces were huge influences. We loved the MC5, although that wasn't very probably apparent in our music, other than just, you know, the fast. You know, but those were the aesthetics that kind of shaped our aesthetic, and you know, as our own aesthetic became ours, you know, from all, you know, all these stuff that seeps into your being will come out, you know, but you know, they won't. I can tell you, I wrote a song that was like, I wanted to pay homage to Keith Richards, but it ain't gonna sound like Keith Richards. Maybe the guitar riffage will, but you know, the stuff that seeps into you and influences you will come out, you know. But it won't sound like, you know, the bands that influence you. Well, in some ways it may, you know. I mean, I'd like to think that in some ways our music still is kind of sexy and raw and rough, like, you know, like the Stones or the Faces and stuff like that. I think we capture a bit of that still. But that we love that. That was kind of where our aesthetic stemmed from, you know.
And then from that first EP was your most iconic song also, which is I Remember Romance, and really kind of was a fan favorite and took off and got a lot of play and stuff. We're going to play that here in a second, but before, do you want to say, I mean, did that, was that, how did that song kind of come to you, or?
You know, songs come to you, they come to you sometimes when you least expect them. Sometimes when you intentionally sit down to write a song, it will come. A lot of my stuff just comes when I sit down with a guitar in my hands. And I can't remember specifically how it came. I'm guessing it came to me like most songs, where I'm somewhere, I have the guitar in my hand, all of a sudden I'm playing some chords come together, and all of a sudden a phrase or a line pops into my head. I start writing it down, and things kind of progress, you know. I take it to the band. We learn it. Joseph put in this iconic keyboard part, the intro, beginning, you know, and that kind of stuff happens when we get together and rehearse. So that probably was the first song that, you know, and might be our most popular song, that kind of, set the groundwork, you know. I mean, you know, we had hooked up with some people. We made a video for it and stuff like that. To me, and I still love playing the song. It's still powerful, and I still like it. But yeah, it just it was our first, I think, most, and I still think probably our most recognizable song, just because of the airplay it got, the video airplay it got, and stuff like that. We did get some airplay on MTV a little bit, like at 3 a.m. in the morning. I never saw any of our videos on MTV, but my mom said she did at like 3 a.m. in the morning. So I know they were on there, which was awesome. But once again, I think I Remember Romance is probably still the most recognized song, you know, that we do, and kind of, set the stage for us and set the tone for us.